Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Stacking Perpetrator here. In this video I'm going to do two things. I'm going to be to some people committing blasphemy. I'm going to be cutting out this 2022 P&D uncirculated coin set, and I'm going to be putting the women's quarters into the women's quarter oblong. And I'm also going to be filling the spots in the penny, in the Lincoln cent, Jefferson nickel page, Roosevelt dime page, and the Kennedy half dollar. I pulled these pages out of the books. It's just easier to do. But while I'm cutting through this in this video, cutting these coins out and fitting them in their proper places for my albums, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the banking situation that's going on right now, or it's been going on for the past few years. And I need your thoughts down below if you've run into any of these things or any weird experiences with your banking institution. But let me start. What are we going to do? That's the Denver. Let's start with the Philly one. Go with the quarters here. But while I cut away, just giving you a little thing. Most of you know, if you follow my videos, that I do have my own company. I do heating and air and plumbing, and that is my main business focus. Had my own business for many years. And before I get into the banking part, that's something for you young people. I have nothing against college. I have nothing against an education. I'm all for that. But what some of you might want to think, if you don't want to go into the huge debt that comes along with getting a college education, you may want to think about getting into the trades. Because like me, I am 55, and I figure I've got about 10 more years of actually doing what I do. And then I've already started slowing down. I have a nice client list that keeps me busy, but I'm not taking any new clients right now. I don't do anything for actual homeowners. I like the client situation that I have right now, and I'm pretty much exclusively in low-income housing, whether it's tax credit properties or the HUD housing or the local housing authority, which would cover Section 8. Matter of fact, the management companies I work for the low-income properties, the housing authority owns most of the properties that I service. And as far as the heating and air, the plumbing, electrical, welding, things like that, there is a shortage of workers willing to do those jobs. And I tried hiring some people one time. Well, when I first started hiring, I had people that once they were all for getting the job, and until they found out that there would be shovel work, as in digging. If you watch a couple of my videos, we had to dig up some sewer lines to make repairs. And the younger crowd just says, they'll do all the other stuff. They just can't do no digging. Well, if you can't do any digging, you can't work for me. Because although I don't do that much digging, these coins are nice. These coins are nice. But if you can't do any digging when it's required, then you can't work for me. And then they were also worried about the heat. and everything. Well, if you're worried about the heat, you also can't work for me, because some of the plumbing and almost all of the HVAC, heating and air work, is outside. And usually when you go somewhere where you're on a AC call, that's because the air is not working. So guess what? It's going to be hot in the unit you're going to work on. And a lot of those systems are in the attics. And it's summertime. It is very hot in attics. I've actually worked in attics and took the temperature. And I've worked 8-hour days in attics that got up to 140 degrees. Obviously, I didn't stay up there the entire time. I set a rule. I work so many minutes or one task, and then I'd come down, get some water, cool off a little bit, best I could, go back up, do some more to avoid the heat exhaustion. Luckily, my clients now that I have, there's no attics. And then I used to do a lot of what I call dirt diving, and that's why I don't do homeowners. I don't do work for homeowners. And a lot of times with your homeowners, your inside portion of your air handler would be, or in your air system, is either under the house or in the attic. Very seldom was it located in a closet. So you're either working in the attic in extreme temperatures, or you were working under the house in what I call dirt diving, going in through the crawl space and having to work in the dirt under the house. And I just got tired of that. My knees couldn't take it anymore. But anyways, but the younger generation, you really need to think about going in, starting at least getting into learning one of the trades, one of the major trades, which would be HVAC, plumbing, electrical, welding, things like that. Because what I'm seeing is, and I'm looking at what is coming out, I go behind contractors all the time, and it's with the younger ones. That's why I find so many mistakes. I look at things as like, what were you thinking? They're always in a hurry to get the job, and that's how I make my money. Is most of what I do is going behind other people that have made mistakes. That's why I'm there. I'm there to correct the mistake and make things correct. But you really need to, the younger generation really needs to think about getting into the trades to as something, because I'm looking at, from what I see, I'm looking at in 15 years, when all of us, if you want to call it older people, get out of the trades and we retire, and or just slow down and don't do as much. People are going to have, you are going to be hard pressed, and I'm giving it 15 years at the most. You're going to find it hard. You're going to be hard pressed to find a contractor who knows what they're doing and is able to fix the problem that you're calling in for. Now, there'll be people that'll fix it, but how long is it going to be fixed for? I remember back when we had the housing crisis, and things went crazy. It seemed like everybody that was getting laid off from the big time builders or other companies that were getting laid off, whatever, if they had a truck and some tools, they were a HVAC person or a or a plumber, and they just did shoddy work. And several times I got called out. I'd get called out. I'd price the job out because I knew what I was doing. Oh, by the way, this finishes off the 2022 American Women quarter set. That's the P&D. I already had the proofs, the regular proofs and the silver proofs in. And I would put the bid in for what the job was going to take, and then they'd never call me and find out they called somebody else because they were cheaper. And the reason I knew about it is because they called me back two weeks later and saying, yeah, well, we didn't use you because the price was high. We used these other people because they were about a third of the price, and it's still not working, and we can't get them to come out, and yada yada yada. So you're going to run into problems like that where they're just there to take your money, and then they're going to run. But it's some good opportunities if you get in now, because the young generation just does not want, they don't want to do these jobs. They just don't want it. And that is an opportunity for you to get with an old timer, somebody who knows what they're doing, who's been around, who's seen a lot of stuff, who knows how to fix things and do it the right way, and learn from them. And once you get good enough, get into your own business. Either that or find something that is in high demand. Learn a skill that is in high demand, something that everybody needs, and learn what you can and start your own business in that field. You will be much better off in the long run working for yourself instead of complaining about working for somebody else and not making the money that you think you should make. And we just finished off the Jefferson nickels because I already had the proof. So there's the P and the D for the Jefferson nickels. I need to get an updated page from Littleton because come next year I'm going to need that next page. Hopefully they'll have one with all the dates. Same with the Roosevelt dimes. Running out here. But anyways, let me get back to the banking thing because I need your opinions down below, or your comments. I noticed at my bank, which I've been at for many, many years, I get checks from clients. Same client I've had for years. I get the checks. But I went down there one time to deposit $7,000 worth of checks that I had received for work that I had done. And the teller tells me that I have to come back. They can't take my deposit. Mind the checks, I've been depositing the checks from the same company for years. And the reason I had so many checks is because they issued me a check from each of the different properties. The one company has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 properties that they would call me work on. So I would get checks from all the different properties for invoices I turned in. And but the teller tells me they can't make the deposit because there was nobody currently at the bank that had authorization to sign off on a deposit more than $1,500. What? Wait a minute. I'm putting money into the bank via checks from the business, from that come to my business from clients who had been paying me for years, and those checks I've always deposited them in that same bank account for years. Never had an issue. Never had a check bounce. Never had a check that wasn't good. It's one of the reasons I stayed with that client. Checks they came in quick and they were always good. In here, the teller can't make my deposit because they're not authorized to deposit money into an account. When a deposit comes in, they can't deposit it because they are not authorized to make deposits into an account holder's account because it's above their $1,500 maximum limit for making deposits. So anything over $1,500, they have to go to somebody else who has a higher limit and let them sign off on it before the deposit can be made. I'm like, what? When did this happen? Take money down to the bank, you put the checks in. If they bounce, they take the money back out of your account or put a freeze on your account or whatever until they get the money. You know, what is this crap? The next thing that I've seen with the banks is I always like to have some, you know, when you run a business, you have petty cash. And I always like to have petty cash on hand. And just for emergencies or whatever is going on. And I go down to the bank and I write out a check for $2,000. I put in the memo that it's petty cash for the business. It was a business check, mind you. A business check. It's my business. I'm the owner. I'm there with the check, my ID and all this. And the teller asked me, and I've heard this, all the banks were doing it. I haven't heard it in a while, but I changed banks, and I'm actually set up where now a lot of my payments are electronic deposits. But they asked me when I cashed the check, when I was cashing the check, keep in mind, this is a business account. They asked me what I was going to do with the money. My response, without missing a beat, because I'd heard this before this actually happened to me, my immediate response was I was going to wipe my butt with the bills. And they looked at me funny. And I said, well, when you think about it, dollar bills are, toilet paper is worth more than dollar bills. And they looked at me like really funny, but hey, you know, it is what it is. To me, it's none of your business. It's my money. And what I do with it is not, when I pull my money out of the bank, it's none of their business. What I'm going to buy, what I'm going to do. It's, actually, I thought it was quite offensive that the bank teller is required to ask what I'm going to do with the money. So that takes care of, I don't know if I mentioned it, that takes care of Roosevelt dimes and their prospective slots. I did have the proof and the silver proof already. Same with the Kennedy here. That was the 2022P, 2022D. I already had the proof and the silver proof in. That was in other videos. Anyway, so I thought that was kind of weird. Then I've heard stories where people have went to the bank and they wanted to take out $10,000. This has actually happened to my LCS, who they always have to have cash on hand for when stuff comes in over the counter for them to buy. Some people want cash, some people want a check. Most of it, the people want cash. It's the reason they're bringing the stuff in to sell. But they went to the bank to get $10,000 in cash, and the bank has told them, well, you'll have to wait 2 or 3 days because we don't have that much cash in the bank. We have to order the cash in order to cash your check. One of my family members who works for a school system in another state, they ran into that situation where their concession stands for their sporting events needed petty cash. So she wrote out a check for, it was $5,000 they needed between all the different cash. So they'd have change for however long they figured it out for. That's what the concession stands requested. Gave the check to the assistant. Assistant went down to the bank, and the bank can't cash a $5,000 check. the bank had to call 5 or 6 other branches before they found one that was actually an hour away that actually had the cash on hand to cash a $5,000 check. What is going on with our banking system? What is going on with it? A lot of that is why I started moving my money into other investments, such as gold, silver, my coin collection, other things besides letting my money sit in the bank where I may not be able to get it out if I need it. Now, if banks can't cash a simple $5,000 check for one person, or $10,000 or $15,000 for a bigger business who needs more cash on the thing, or they're going to question why I'm taking $2,000 of my money from my business that is in the bank and I'm getting it in cash to have petty cash on hand. What is going on with our banking system? If there was a run, or I'm not trying to scare anybody, but if there is a run, I guarantee you ain't going to get no money, because all the bank employees are going to know heads up, and they're going to get their money out before you're able to get your money. And if bank can't cash a simple $5,000 check, if the branch doesn't have the cash on hand to cash a $5,000 check, or $10,000 for that matter, what do you think is going to happen if the situation comes up for a run on the banks? Let me know your thoughts down below. I didn't pull my Sacagawea album out. I will do that as soon as I end this video. But let me know your thoughts down below. Have you experienced banking problems like that? Have you heard about it? Have you personally seen something? Let me know your thoughts down below. I know I'm behind on comments. I just been working hard, and I was in class all day Saturday. Today was Sunday. It's my day to relax. I responded to some comments, but I'm just tired. I'm actually making this video. Probably make a few more videos, so I have stuff to put out this week. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you on another video.